Hey, what's going on, guys? I don't normally do a commentary, but I heard a message that I had to go back and reread it. And for anybody that's listening to messages anywhere, always go back and reread it and read it in its context, full context. Matthew 22, 1 through 14 is not primarily a sermon about celebrating one another. While some people may preach this or teach this, could make it a secondary application about rejoicing when others respond to God's invitation, that is not the central message of the passage. The main emphasis is on God's invitation to his kingdom, Israel's rejection of the Messiah, the extension of the gospel to all people, and the necessity of being clothed in the righteousness of Christ. The wedding feast is about salvation and God's kingdom, not human affirmation. Now, in the story, the improperly dressed guest reminds us that it isn't enough to simply accept the invitation outwardly. We must come to God's terms. Okay, let me say this. Have you ever been invited to something so special that you couldn't imagine turning it down? Maybe it was a wedding, a family celebration, or even an event people wait their whole lives to attend. Most of us would rearrange our schedules just to be there. I know we have. Yet in Matthew 22, Jesus tells a shocking story, the greatest invitation ever offered. The invitation into the kingdom of God is rejected by many who should have embraced it. Others gladly accepted the invitation, but one man assumes he can enter on his own terms rather than the king's. Check that. This parable isn't simply about attending the wedding. It's about how every one of us responds to God's invitation through Jesus Christ. The invitation is still being extended today. God is calling his people from every nation, every background, every past, every walk of life. No one is beyond his reach. But Jesus is also reminding us that accepting the invitation is only part of the story. We must come clothed in righteousness he provides, not in our own goodness, religious activity, or personal achievements. The king is looking for hearts that have truly been transformed by his son. So the question isn't, have I heard the invitation? The question is, have I responded to it God's way? Because in the end, Jesus leaves us with these sobering words: for many are called, but few are chosen. May we not simply admire the invitation, but receive it with genuine faith and live as people who belong at the King's table. Be blessed.